What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Money. I'm Nikolay Timoshchuk Jr., and today we're going to talk about how you can become wealthy. This is a word that sometimes makes people feel afraid or seems like it's something that's not attainable, but guess what? The word wealth is very much so attainable by everybody that's watching this video, by everybody who's not watching this video. What it takes is a bunch of discipline. Okay, when we're talking about financial literacy, when we're talking about financial decisions, guess what is probably one of the most important things that you need? It's discipline. So let's say you're talking about losing weight and you're like, I need to lose 10 pounds and I want to do it within 6 months. Well, then guess what? You got to lose a certain amount of weight every single week, every single day, every single month to meet that criteria. The same thing goes with your finances. So if you're talking about, I want to save up enough money to have a down payment on some real estate property, or I want to save up enough money to be able to buy a car, or I want to save up enough money to be able to buy my own house. All of these things start with discipline because it's very easy to spend money. It's very easy to say, I want this, I want that, and I want that, especially living in America where we live in a I want culture and I'm going to go buy culture, and you have credit to buy everything you want. It's so easy to just start accumulating debt and being like, I want this and I want that. Ultimately, though, what you need to do is buckle down and say, look, do I want to become wealthy? Is this something that's important to me? Because if it is not important to you, it can't be important to your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, and all that. It has to be important to you, the person that's actually going to have to take the necessary steps. Just as if I was to say, I want to lose weight, it has to be important to me. It can't be important to the trainer. It can't be important to, my family around me. It has to be important to me so that when I'm about to eat something that I shouldn't eat, I go, probably shouldn't do that today. When it's time to go for a walk or go for a run or work out, you go, yes, it is important that I do that today. It's so important that this particular situation, whether it be your financial or now that I'm talking about, losing weight, it has to be important to you. Most importantly, that is the key to becoming wealthy. And then from then on, what you can start doing is implementing things in your life. First, I would say start figuring out how you could save money. Okay, in order to make money, you got to spend money. But in order to spend money, you got to have money. So it's kind of like, oh, that's self-explanatory. I need money and I'll never. Well, it's easy to just look at a bigger picture and say, hey, I will never be able to make that much money and have it for a down payment on an investment property. But it's actually easier than you think. Imagine and go back to all the times that you spend money on things that don't really matter. Okay, so for instance, I'll use a very easy, example just for perspective purposes here. Let's talk about coffee, or let's talk about buying let's say you like reading books and that's what helps you do all these things, and you choose to buy coffee over books that day, and you're like, I don't feel like reading, I just want some coffee, I'm really tired. Well, you went and bought, let's say, anywhere from a $5 to $8 drink to, suppress that feeling of like, oh, I feel tired right now, so I'm gonna buy a cup of coffee. Or you could have went and bought a book for about $5 to $10 that you read over a week or 2 weeks, that empowered you, that taught you how to save money, that gave you education. And you don't even have to buy books nowadays. I mean, you can get this stuff for free, doing trials. You can go on YouTube. People are doing all kinds of stuff. And like, for instance, for me, I just wrote my latest book called Stop Beating Yourself Up. And I actually read this book on my TikTok called Stop Beating Yourself Up. And it's on Amazon, Kindle, audio version, paperback. And for me personally, you can go find this like education and this knowledge and these plans and these steps to success and wealth. But a lot of people would rather spend it on things that feel good in that moment. It's like, oh, well, I really want to spend $150 on this dinner, when you could go have that same dinner for probably $45 at a different restaurant or $20 at a different restaurant, to be honest, and get dessert and all these other different things. So it's all about like what's important to you, and are you willing to save that money? Because you do need a chunk of change in order to start that, I want to become wealthy lifestyle. You need money in order to get the ball rolling. So if you work, a minimum wage job and you're making, let's say, $10 an hour, but your bills are right there and you're neck and neck, guess what that means? That means that one job is not doing the job that it needs to do for your finances. So ultimately, you need to find another job, or you find one job that pays more than those two jobs would be paying, and you still work the same amount of hours. A lot of times people just get so comfortable working where they're at and not, getting out of their comfort zone where they're like, yeah, I'll just work here and then I'll get another job and I'll get another job. But you could actually go find one job if you got on Indeed.com or whatever it is, or started your own business, and you could make more working the same amount of hours with one job than you do trying to do more hours at 3 different jobs, and you're all stressed out because you got 3 different managers and things are just crazy. What you need to do is focus on, what am I making? What am I bringing in? How much am I spending? If you're spending more than you're bringing in, that's your first red flag. Is you need to figure that out. You need to write down how much you spend a month. Start budgeting on a monthly, on a weekly, and a daily basis so that your yearly income isn't just outcome at that point. You're not just outputting everything and then you're in the negative and you're just racking up credit card debt. What you need to start doing is finding ways to maximize your potential. Okay, so find what you're good at and really pour into that, and the money will follow. If you can provide value to people on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a yearly basis, you'll be able to find opportunities and careers and jobs and all these different things that pay you sufficiently. You don't need to be working for minimum wage if you're providing, marketing services to people and helping their company make tons of dollars. You know what I'm saying? So you need to figure out what's important to you and how important is it to you, and what are you spending? What are you bringing in? And ultimately, you need to start getting to that first tier, that first level of, this is what I need in order to be able to get this. You got to start working on that credit score. You got to start building that credit score. So if you want an investment property and you can afford it for cash, by all means, do that. Go get it. But right now, investment loans, all these different things the banks are lending money for really cheap. So if you can save up enough money to have a down payment, which is typically 20%, and I really love talking about having real estate. If you have properties that you can Airbnb, do long-term rentals, or things like that where people need your space, where you're not trading your time for money, that is one of those things where you can really start building your wealth. But if you're always having to trade your time for money, and you will initially, you will have to put in that work. It's called sweat equity for a reason. You got to sweat in order to build that equity. And that's what I did with, building my first house. I built up so much sweat equity to where, I could sell my house and have so much hard cash to where you could take that and put it into something else. So for me, ultimately, I'm in my first house right here that you see me making this video. I'm already building my second home that I'll be able to turn into, my permanent residence. And what I was able to do is put this house on Airbnb for a really long time. I was able to make that excess cash. I was able to travel the world. But you got to take that money. You got to take that money and reinvest it into something else. Making money is easy if you have money, but getting that initial lump sum of cash that you need is the hard part. But if you really focus, imagine 5 years ago, if you started saving money, what you would be able to do today. You'd have that knowledge. Don't just think, well, if I had $1 million today, I'd be able to invest in everything, but then I'd have to start learning. Start learning right now when you don't have that lump of money while you're actually working for it, saving $100 a month for the next 3 years, and then you have $5,000 to $10,000, whatever it is. You might be saving $1,000 a month. You could have $40,000 in the next 3 years, and which is enough to buy you an investment property to be able to put, renters in there to make that money back. They'd be paying off your mortgage. You'd be sitting there waiting for them to pay that off, probably making a little bit of extra cash after they paid that mortgage, being able to take that money to put it in something else, and ultimately you'd be able to diversify. If you wanted to buy, stocks at that point, if you wanted to get an S&P 500, if you wanted, ETF, mutual funds, you name it. I mean, even if you wanted to start gambling at that point, I don't recommend you gamble, but I'm saying, if you're not willing to start taking that knowledge of how do you become wealthy right now, learning so that when you get the money, you can actually put it into something. Too many people will get a lump sum of money, win the lottery, do all these things, and just spend it, blow it all, because they didn't have the education with it. They didn't have the financial literacy. So what you need to do right now is see how important this is to you. Start saving that money. Stop spending so much money and really think about, hey, what is it that works for me? Is it starting my own business? Is it buying a rental property? Is it getting into the stock market? Is it something else? Is it, investing in equipment to get on YouTube? Whatever that may be for you, it has to work for you. But as long as you can figure out what your strengths are and what you're good at, after that, you can start focusing on what these things mean to you and how important it is to you and what you can actually give to it. Is that once a week you post a video? Or is that, every week you're looking for property? Or how many times are you investing in the stock market per month or per year? These different things matter. But, however, you've got to make sure that you are staying on top of your stuff. You're staying focused. You're actually trying really hard at this and you're learning along the way. If you're not learning and someone just gives you that money, all of a sudden that money will disappear and you don't even know what happened to it. Don't work hard just to work hard. Work hard with a plan so that you can start your journey to become wealthy and so that you can change your family's lives, your life. I mean, you name it. Start that generational wealth. Start that cycle right now. Be what starts that cycle in your family. But regardless, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. Share this video and drop a comment below. Let me know what y'all want to talk about. If you haven't yet, check out my new book, Stop Beating Yourself Up. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Stop Beating Yourself Up by Nikolay Timoshchuk Jr. The actual link will be below in the caption. So check that out. Go grab you a copy. You will not regret it. But without further ado, I will see you on my next video. Peace out.